Today we're going to be talking about the astronomical prices that are in the Pokemon TCG right now and how you as a collector or investor can optimize, avoid pitfalls, and also what to look out for when it comes to getting sealed products. As you can see right now, Destined Rivals pre-orders are going for insanely high prices. Booster boxes are going for $321, regular ETBs $167. We have a bunch of other products here as well. So for part one, I want to talk about particularly opportunities and also reprints. Opportunities are pretty much everywhere, regardless of the time period in the Pokemon sort of universe right now. In the community, obviously, it's absolutely insane and ridiculous to get prices in stores, which just makes me laugh. I mean, I can't even begin to comprehend a situation which I would ever purchase those products for the prices they're going for. And so for me, it's a no-brainer just to skip whenever such prices are sort of running around in the TCG. I'm not going to spend $150 on a Journey Together ETB. That's simply not a good decision. But there are opportunities always available. For instance, Journey Together was going for ridiculous prices, and a lot of the products were pretty much unattainable throughout the pre-release period. Upon release, instantly there were a lot of sort of opportunities that popped up, and particularly in Canada, I did actually manage to get my hands on a few things. So I did pre-order a booster box, 2 booster boxes, one of which got canceled because of tariffs and so forth. But I did happen to get that a long time ago, and so the pre-order price was sort of the old MSRP. I did manage to order a few PCTBs, get my hands on a few. But I did actually recently in Walmart manage to get my hands on a few sort of 3-pack blisters, going for $20 Canadian. And thing is, that's under market value right now, and particularly it's $5 over the general MSRP. $15 was pretty much how much 3-packs used to go for, so I was pretty fine with getting them for $20, especially as I didn't have too much Journey Together sealed. I do like the sealed design of the Journey Together, the blue, the art styles is pretty nice. I'm okay with getting a few of those, so I grabbed some, and you know what? There were also posters for 151 that were dropped on Walmart in Canada, so I was able to get myself a few of those as well. So as you can see, there are opportunities that sort of pop up. I did get those posters for 27 Canadian each, and in the US there are even more opportunities, right? Because the US actually has so many more big box retailers. You have Target, you have Walmart, you have Macy's, Sam's Club, Costco. These are heavily involved in Pokemon, and they tend to sort of to have a decent stock compared to in Canada where they're far and few. So one of the main sub points I wanted to sort of make is be patient and sort of keep an eye out on big box retailers. There are opportunities that tend to pop up when you least expect it. Another thing I wanted to say is that you don't need to get absolutely everything that releases. For me, Journey Together is not my favorite set, and I'm content with what I have. 1 booster box, a few PCETBs, and a few 3-pack blisters, and that's pretty much fine for me. I don't want to go crazy on this side. I don't want to have a lot of it compared to something like Destined Rivals, and that too, I'm going to be reasonable with it. I'm not willing to spend over $210 for a booster box, right? That in and of itself is quite high. Personally, when you usually got booster boxes, they were going for at least $150 in Canada, and now I'm kind of forced to get them on the Pokemon Center, which goes for $210 Canadian. A huge jump, but I'm absolutely not willing to go higher than that by any stretch of the imagination. And so if that means missing out on one of the sets I absolutely adore, that's fine with me. I did luckily get 1 booster box and 1 PCETB, but if that weren't the case, I'm not going to spend $300 plus for a booster box. And that sort of actually plays into another point I want to make, which is that wait until the end of the year for a lot of these sets, right? Products become far more available during the Boxing Day period. Not going to say it's going to emulate the previous years when hype wasn't at an all-time high and excitement for Pokemon cards wasn't so intense, but there are going to be deals. There'll be more product, and at the minimum you won't be seeing as intensely high prices as we're seeing at this current time period, right? And then the second sort of sub point to where and when to put your money in Pokemon cards is that there have been numerous announcements on reprints, and there have been multiple assurances from the Pokemon company that more product is on the way. I would usually not say that reprints are sort of going to be life-changing and going to make these prices go fantastically drastically low and everything like that. But we have already heard information that GameStop is sort of going to be getting restocks of prismatic ETBs on May 10th, and then on May 24th there will be some sticker collections from prismatic that are coming out. Then UPCs, I assume, will be printed quite heavily in the future, at least because prismatic specifically as a set receives such a deliberate statement from the Pokemon company. I'm pretty sure that there will be a good amount of product if one is willing to be patient and wait it out, even if that means sort of having a more or less dull year of collecting in Pokemon, and if that means sort of waiting and sort of saving up for next year, then you know what, there's definitely a possibility that the sets that are releasing this year will be a little bit more available, a little bit more reasonably priced at that point. Of course, it does take months and months for the Pokemon company to actually adjust its printing processes and be able to meet demand the way they need to right now. There will be more product that comes out, and so being patient and waiting for these reprints. And of course, we also saw information on Pokemon Center ETBs and ETBs for Destined Rivals, and sort of the Pokemon Center said there will be another stock of it online, right? So waiting for those moments instead of pre-ordering for hundreds of dollars is definitely a safer and better way to approach investing, because as investors we always want to get things as low as possible. For part 2, I want to be talking about some of the pitfalls for investing in sealed products. So one is, please do not be buying super high when it comes to sealed. It is the sort of golden aspect of Pokemon where sealed is more or less guaranteed appreciate in value. Over time, there isn't danger compared to something like a single, which could crash and never come back up again. As these products get older and older, they become more exclusive. There is less supply out there as more products is being ripped up. And the higher the quality of set you get, the more of a chance you have for your product to appreciate. Again, there are variations within these products, preferences people have. But that being said, if you are going to go ahead and buy a Pokemon Center ETB right now for $380 USD, your chances of that going much higher than that valuation is quite low. If you want to hold for the long term, invest in the long term. Remember, there are always peaks and troughs in markets. Nothing ever stays high forever. Nothing is ever popular forever. And I think a few examples of this in the non-investing space is sort of Pokemon Go. That game took the world by storm and was insanely popular. Now, it's not to say it's still not popular, but not to the extent it was back then when it first released, when people were sort of all on their phones, eyes on their phones, driving, trying to spin Pokestops as they're sort of headed to work. It was a different time. And so things sort of cooled down eventually, right? I'm not saying the Pokemon TCG is the same as Pokemon Go, right? This has a longer history. This is, of course, the bread and butter for a lot of people when it comes to engaging with the Pokemon world, right? But there are always sort of moments where things get higher and things get lower. During 2022, there was a humongous boom in the number of cards produced and the number of people purchasing products and the prices. They came back down again during early Scarlet and Violet, and now we're seeing a high again. But there are always peaks and troughs to take advantage of. If you take a look at the stock market as another case, the stock market was experiencing humongous growth until about January-ish. It was growing quite consistently. And then, due to an unpredictable factor such as tariffs, the market lost trillions of dollars. It's not to say that it's not going to go back up again, but if you're buying at the absolute high and not taking advantage of moments when the market is low, then you're severely cutting down your long-term gain. You're not actually giving yourself an opportunity to make the best sort of investments. You're sort of not taking advantage of opportunity costs. You're getting maybe the best product, but at the highest price. If that product comes back down to 100, as we sort of saw with Journey Together, it'll take a long time for that price to recuperate. I generally don't endorse pre-release purchases, with the exception of Surging Sparks and Prismatic, which actually saw cards going above pre-release price, which sort of diverged from the norm. Generally speaking, things go down, so wait until after pre-release, and then wait until products become a little bit more affordable and available. Because if you overpay, you're severely cutting down your profits, especially as a long-term investor, right? 5 years down the line, of course, there's going to be a moment when things become cheaper and deals are available. And that's when you should grab things, because that's what's going to help you become a better investor, have a more robust collection, and also make the largest profit and the most beautiful collection you can. I want to give you guys sort of an example of this. If you're able to buy low and during times when the market is not going that crazy, and trying to identify things that are truly valuable without allowing things like FOMO to actually impact your decision making. I'm not saying I'm perfect, right? Of course I've done things where I've bought stuff a little bit higher than I should have, or opened more things than I should have. There's always sort of that thing that happens. But I did end up getting PCETBs from the start of Scarlet and Violet. I genuinely believed in them. The promo cards, the fact that they're exclusive, the stamps, everything like that. I believed in that from the start. Not because people were saying it's really going to be expensive, but because I felt like it would be a desirable product. So I kept getting them from the start. I loved them. I genuinely enjoyed collecting them, and I missed one product, which was 151, which absolutely eats me to this day. But apart from that, I have everything else. And so I got 4 Obsidian PCTVs. I did open one on the channel when it came out and got Charizard SIR, Charizard Full Art, and of course the Charmander, which was such a crazy box. But I do have 3 sealed still, and they've gone up quite tremendously. Something else I grabbed was also quite a few Sword and Shield booster boxes, Fusion Strike being one of them. I happened to get this well over a year ago, and now it's going for absolutely insane prices. It's going for $474 USD. For an example of a single that I got when it was quite low and genuinely believed in it going up. And honestly, I wish I could have gotten more, but an absolute pristine copy, and I feel like would be a 10 if I graded it. If I could have gotten more, I would have. But this card particularly, if we take a look at it in the near mint over the past year, I got this when it was actually going for 30 USD, literally a year ago. And now it's going for 122. So if you can get cards when they're low and not purchase them when they're at their absolute high, best way to go about things. So if there's anything that I sort of want to emphasize in this video, is patience is key when it comes to investing. And there are always opportunities in different areas of the market. If that's not Pokemon sealed at the moment, that could be the stock market for you. If that's not the stock market, it could be another area of collectibles. Or it could be waiting for the right moment in Pokemon cards and finding the right product. There's always opportunities, and I think whoever sticks with the hobby for a long time will definitely see the fruits of their labor in the long term. I personally believe in this hobby from an investment point, as well as just loving it for what it is. Been a huge impacting point in my life. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Bit of a different one, but I wanted to sort of talk through my philosophy for investing right now, how I'm approaching the market, and hopefully this helped y'all out in some way, in one form or another. If even one thing resonated with you, then that's what I was hoping for. And let me know in the comments down below what your approach is right now to investing. I'd love to hear it, and I'm always open to learn. So hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.